gonna speed up this whole thing because otherwise it's just gonna take forever. I ended up combining 2 days in one, similarly to what I did last week. But the reason was completely different. Last week I simply had no time, so after work I went out, and then when I came home it was too late, and I didn't want to waste precious sleep to just get a gym session in. But this time it was for health and safety reasons, to abuse the corporate term that now means everything and nothing. But no, seriously, it was simply because I felt like I was not really recovering as quickly as I would have liked. A few days ago already, I had a travesty of a session where I was performing only one set per exercise, and I was mentioning that I had been unlucky with the weather during my bike commutes. It was very cold and wet, and I was starting to feel like my immune system was kicking in. It was that feeling of before someone gets the flu or a cold, that the body is really battling something, but I didn't really have any symptoms specific to anything like a cold or a flu, which are very common with the change of the season. So I still got into the gym, but I didn't really feel that much worse the next day. So much so that I went into for a good session where I was doing some eccentrics on the freestanding handstand push-up. So it wasn't really that bad in terms of the way that the body was dealing with it, but I wasn't really feeling like I was getting good sleep afterwards. So what I ended up doing was taking a rest day from the gym on one of my days off. And the next night I slept something obnoxious like over 9 hours, which is extremely rare for me. I usually do well with an average of 7 hours per night, and if I tend to oversleep, and that's about 8 hours or so, I wake up with a bit of a headache. But it wasn't the case this time. Slept like a rock for over 9 hours, woke up completely rested, and got a morning session where I combined 2 days in one. And truly, the time between the last session and today's was really about 36 to 40 hours. I had the previous session in the evening, and this one was in the morning. It would have been the same as if I had had a morning session and then an evening session the day after, something like that. But the extra 24 hours of complete rest at home really probably did the trick. Right, finally. So after a 2.5 minute disclaimer to explain the situation, I can finally talk about the big session at hand. Started off with some explosive pull-ups, resetting each repetition from the bottom because I feel like they provide some extra rep, and I can really squeeze all the strength and power that I can generate on each repetition. I was doing 3 sets of those. I was aiming at 5 reps per set, but on one set I was doing only 4 on the last one, simply because I felt like it was just a normal pull-up at that point, and it was really going beyond the scope of what I'm trying to achieve with that exercise right now. And that was meant to be today's opener, even if I hadn't skipped yesterday's session. I kept it at the first position because I wanted to be as fresh as possible into the more power-hungry exercise of the explosive pull-ups. Then it was time for yesterday's opener, which was the Romanian deadlift, superset by some arm work. I stayed at 100 kilos on the Romanian deadlift because I was going up to 10 reps. I am not sure yet if I want to be adding a third set now and progress the 3 until I can do 10 to 12 on all of them, or if I want to be progressing these 2 sets up to 12 and then add a third set. I'm actually inclined to the former option simply because I will be adding some extra volume now while I am still progressing throughout the rep range that I've given myself. That sounds reasonable. So next week I will be adding a third set on the Romanian deadlift and do a few less reps just to slowly adding extra volume. On arm work, I progressed towards 14 kilo dumbbells on both the hammer curls and the upright rows. They were pretty challenging at the end. I was barely able to get the last reps with good form. I was doing still 10 reps of each, so I think that it was a good time to progress the load on those. Then it was pressing time. So I forewent, funny word, forewent, I think. The dips that were meant to happen the previous day on the Romanian deadlifts, and I went instead for the dumbbell incline presses that were scheduled for today. 2 20 kilo dumbbells. Unfortunately, the first set I got thrown off a little by the guy who got in front of the camera. I probably didn't see that, but I was conscious of not being able to record the set. I ended up doing 11 only. In the second one I was free, so I got 12, and in the third set there were people moving around, so I got 10. So 11, 12, 10, that's pretty good. I might be doing another session next week with the 20 kilos, see how many I can get there, and then I'll probably progress the weight. At this time, I had done enough forearm work with all the isometrics while holding the bar on the Romanian deadlifts and the hammer curls and the upright rows that my forearms were pretty pumped. I did a few handstands. They weren't really feeling that great. And in the meantime, I was doing some sled work for the legs and finished off with the assisted Nordic curls. So in the same session, I was able to actually work the hamstring both on the distal part over here and the proximal head on the Romanian deadlifts. It felt good, so I think it was a good session overall. Ciao.